You're listening to Faith Connections podcast, where we are dedicated to connecting you to your faith. And now your hosts, Chris and Mari Torres.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to Faith Connections. It's Chris and Mari
Torres.
Welcome back.
It's Tuesday already?
It's Tuesday.
Man,
I know, it's been a while.
I'm tired
You're tired?
for a Tuesday.
We're not even on hump day, buddy.
No.
Welcome back. We hope that you enjoyed our last episode within the conference, because that's what we were doing. Is we were just, if you missed the conference, we wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to kind of listen and learn, dissect different
maybe
information.
if you were at the conference and you missed something, here's an opportunity to go back and
what stood out, what
yeah.
what else can you take from all the great information that was shared. So we hope that you enjoyed the ending part. I know Chris and I was our pretty much, we preached on You Are Not Alone, right? We preached on the story of Elijah. I know we've talked a lot about Elijah because he did suffer from depression, right? Yeah. He struggled mentally.
That whole story has a lot that we can relate to and associate to our lives. How, fear, stress, running. How many times do we run away from problems?
Yeah.
And so that story has a lot to do with mental health, mental wellness. And
we thought, what a great way to end the conference, because the theme of our conference was You Are Not Alone. So it was a reminder to remind you that you're not alone in this journey.
As
right?
Elijah wasn't alone.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He felt like he was alone, but
God reminded him that he wasn't.
You are not alone, buddy. There's people out there that are in the same, have the same beliefs, right? They're believers, and hey, you still have a lot of work to do. Right. So we're gonna transition today, something that's kind of been in our hearts, and I know Chris, preached a little bit on this on a couple of Sundays ago at our church, but we're gonna be talking about heart check. Heart check. So what does that mean? I mean, you typically go to the doctor, right?
For EKGs.
Yeah, you got to check that heart sometimes. If maybe there's something there's an indicator. What indicates a heart condition, right? That gets you to go and get an EKG or go get something checked, right? Or go get a heart check. There's certain indicators when you think about the health physical aspect of it. Right. But I want you to think about, we're not going to be talking about the physical heart, even though it is physically our heart, right? But we're going to be talking about the heart check of how do you check it spiritually, right? Emotionally, because they go hand in hand. And we need to understand that, well, how do you do a heart check, right? What we want to really talk about and kind of express is that our words are an indication of our hearts. So what comes out of our mouth is a true indication of what's deep rooted in us, right? So it shows our true spiritual condition, our maturity. It really does. And so I want to share a scripture, and it's from Matthew chapter 15. I know Chris is going to share other verses as well. And I feel one of the verses is very similar that we're going to share together. But
I think all of them are.
Yeah, they all correlate, they all connect. But the one that I really wanted to bring is Matthew chapter 15, because here at the beginning of Matthew chapter 15, you have the Pharisees and the scribes, and what they're doing is they're questioning Jesus about why his disciples are breaking tradition, right? By the tradition, the law, by eating with unwashed hands. They didn't wash their hands and they're eating. So they're trying to call them out on that. Hey, this is the law. We're supposed to wash our hands. And we understand the whole sanitary, like even current, right? Like, we want to wash our hands before we eat. But they were trying to do it in a very malicious, malintent. They had a malintent behind.
Religion versus the non-traditional.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Jesus here in the scripture that I'm going to share, he teaches that it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, right? But what comes out of the mouth. And so Matthew 15 verses 10 through 11, it says this, right? So after they went and called him out, he's like, okay, hold up. He goes, Jesus called to the crowd to come and hear. And I love this because he says, listen, listen. What does that mean? Pay attention.
Focus.
Pay attention. Focus.
How many times we don't listen.
Exactly. So I like underline that word because sometimes we're just not listening. We're not listening to sometimes what comes out of our mouth.
Or what somebody's trying to convey to us.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
so he says, listen, he said, and then he doesn't stop there. He says, listen and try to understand. Try to understand what I'm about to say.
Listen.
So I don't want you to just listen. Because what you preached on this on your message, you said we have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. Why?
So we can listen and
exactly
hear, but we tend to do the opposite. We use more of our mouth than we
run our mouth, right?
Before we listen.
Yeah. We speak off the cuff. Like, I mean, that's just something that we're all about. Me, and I, and
Most
I want to talk, and I want to.
Before true understanding.
It is. It really is.
And that's why we misunderstand each other in many times in just in casual conversations or in friendly conversations, and it can turn heated real quick because of simple misunderstandings. Because again, you said the key word was listen. You underline it, and it's speaking to me volumes right now because, again, that's the root.
Yeah.
If we just listen, and then we can focus on what's being said, maybe we are in agreement with that person, or we're learning something, right? Because that's the beginning of knowledge, the beginning of wisdom. Yeah. But how many times we don't listen, and immediately, like you said, we react and we speak out of cuff.
That just reminds me. I was having a conversation with 2 different individuals, and there was some conflict, right, happening, not within me, but within them. And so I was being asked, like, hey, can you help me with this situation, right? And the other person, I said something, right? But as soon as I said it, it triggered that other person, but they didn't let me explain, right? So it triggered, there was a lot of emotion there. They needed to take a timeout or, step away. Cool. Reset. They reset, came back, and I said it again. I said, let me explain what I mean, right? Because just because I said something, somebody can perceive it a certain way. And so I said, let me explain what I mean by XYZ, right? And so I explained it. And so then they were like, they were understanding where I was coming from. Absolutely. Yeah. So I just it just came to mind.
Moment, as we call it.
So he says, right, listen, he said, and try to understand. It's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you. You are defiled by the words that come out of your mouth. That's just it. And then verse 18 through 19, it says, but the words you speak come from the heart. That's what defiles you. For from the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, all sexual immorality, theft, lying, and slander. These are what defile you, right? So what goes into your mouth, right? It's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, but it's
what comes out.
Yeah, you are defiled by the words that come out of your mouth, right? What is coming, like, because sometimes you're right. Some things come out. We don't, well, I didn't mean it, or we apologize later, but we don't think about what is coming out. I think too is one thing that can really help you in building relationships and choosing wisely on the types of relationships that you want to build is pay attention to what people like, friends or people that you're around. Pay attention to what is coming out of their mouth.
I'm smirking and smiling because I'm thinking of how many times me and you have misunderstandings, and of course we're laughing about it. We laugh about it, and they're never serious. But one simple word that you say different, and I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yes, I'm like, bro, that's not what I meant.
I'm the English teacher, and I was trying to correct you because I'm.
I'm like, you know what I meant? And you're like, well, that's not what you said. I'm like, well, that's what I meant.
I can't think of so many times that you do that. And we always laugh about it because, and then again, I think many times you're trying to speak faster than you're processing. So you know, go put the socks in the refrigerator, and we're like, what? But you're thinking of, you're already getting ahead, thinking of the thing, go put your socks away and then go to the refrigerator and get me this or whatever. But because you're thinking it, you're so fast on processing it, you merge them and you're yelling at the kids, go put the socks in the refrigerator and go put your feet away. And we're like, what? Put your feet away?
You mean your shoes?
And that's, you meant,
I remember that one.
okay. That's why I'm laughing, because simple little mistakes can be made. And when we laugh about these things, because these are common mistakes you make, and we laugh about them here. But how many times in the real world
do people actually say
it wrong, or the person that's receiving it, and instead of listening, they misunderstand it, and it's simple miscommunication, misunderstanding, and it's all in how we speak. So I know you were sharing Matthew, and the scripture that I want to share today also comes from Matthew, but we're going to go back 3 chapters here in Matthew chapter 12, verse 33 through 35. And I love the title of that little chapter itself, and it's called Words Reveal Character. That's how it's even titled.
It does.
Yeah. So the title says Words Reveal Character on Matthew chapter 12, verse 33 to 35. It says, either assume the tree to be good as well as its fruit good, or assume the tree to be bad as well as its fruit bad. For the tree is known by its fruit. You offspring of vipers, how can you, being evil, express any good things? For the mouth speaks from which fills the heart. The good person brings out of his good treasure good things, and the evil person brings out his evil treasure evil things. So, and I love that, and I highlighted the tree is known by its fruit. Man, how many times, you know, again, what we're speaking can, again,
it's
also
an
be a
indicator
reflection
of your heart condition. It is. It's an indicator of your heart condition.
Right.
It will. What comes out of your mouth will show exactly who you are.
And I think of somebody who's bitter. What are they going to be?
Bitter.
Negative Nancy's. How many times have we come across those? Because they're so bitter, they're going to be negative about any situation. Oh, he can't get that done. Oh, no, he's not going to do that. Or she won't do that at work, you know, because they're having a bad day. They're immediately, what's the word I'm looking for? Exuding. They project, exude that type of energy around them, because they had
hurt people. We've talked about
they woke up and they put on, you know, I mean, heck, you've been to church one time with 2 different shoes. But did you allow that to throw your day? I mean, it was at the end of the day.
Oh, man,
it was the evening.
It actually made my day, because I was.
We laughed.
Yeah, we did. Like,
it was that just. The
funny thing is, I didn't even realize it.
Right, our kids are the ones that pointed it out. Like, Mom, what's going on here?
It's been one of those days. I don't know what to tell you.
That's what I'm saying. The good thing it was at the tail end of the day. Imagine had that been at the beginning of your day on Monday morning, and you go to work like that. For some people, that can derail them the whole day. Now, I'm probably one of those that if I show up to work like that, it would totally derail me.
Make it a good day or not, the choice is yours, baby. I'll be like, let's have fun with this all day. Let's talk about these. That'll be the conversation starter. Let's talk about the 2 different chanclas. Let's Sparkly and I don't know.
Croc. To what if it's the day you go interview for?
That'll be different. Right. Well, you know what? Actually, I would be able to connect with them to be like, let me tell you.
I was like, I don't know. Is Marty ready for this position? Wearing 2 different shoes. It's like, this is the excitement and
that's funny.
What I bring to the table, right? No, but again, that kind of shows the root of things of how your day was going, right? So, we laugh about that, and I bring that as an example, because that can be an example of ourselves too, of what we're speaking is what's deeply rooted. You bringing 2 different shoes to church was an example, and it was deeply rooted of what kind of day you had. It's been a long, stressful day. So all you want to do is get to church, right? And just
I didn't pay attention that I didn't finish switching out my shoes.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. And the good thing was at the tail end of the day. It wasn't the beginning of the day. But again, the tree is known by its fruits. And that just showed the fruit of your day. You know, that's what you produced that evening, 2 different shoes. Again, what we're speaking can be the root. And our words reveal our heart. And I love it because here, and as I look deeper into these scriptures, it says that Jesus was basically saying, because Jesus uses a lot of these moments as teaching moments, and he knew that the Pharisees and the Sadducees were all around watching him, right? Because they're just waiting to pounce on him, to call him out in every little thing. So he takes that as a teaching moment for his disciples in front of them, and he calls them brood of vipers and so forth. So
Hypocrites.
right. And you know, as he's using that as a teaching moment, it also reveals that we can easily be judged by our words. And when we're all going to be judged, we're all going to face judgment day, and we're going to be judged by the same words that were spoken here on earth, and even the unspoken words we're going to be judged. It says. So it's very interesting because what's deeply rooted here.
Yes.
And again, we've shared this many times, and we learned this analogy from a great pastor, youth pastor, when we were doing youth leadership, youth pastoring. 18 inches from up here and here. So again, what are we feeding ourselves? What are we listening to? What are we speaking? Because 18 inches is from up here to the heart.
Yeah.
But when it gets deeply rooted in there, then that's what we start producing. We're putting filth in our hearts.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to come out. That's the fruit we're going to produce.
And you said, right, what we say reveals how corrupt our sinful and our fallen nature is. Like, that's just plain and simple, right? It's our fallen nature.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's something, but here's the thing, just because.
But recognize it.
Yeah. And that's what I want to kind of talk about, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of acronym. I'm sure you've heard it. If you haven't, it's a great way to kind of think before you speak. Right. So think before you speak, and I'll kind of break it down. And then I want to kind of talk about how you do the heart check, right? So I'll talk first about the heart check. So how do you do first a heart check? Number one, the first thing that I want to kind of share before I kind of go into this is, and I alluded to it earlier, I said, think about the people that you surround yourself with, right? I really want you to do this. If you've never done this, I want you to start doing this. This is you wanting to get better, wanting to be better, wanting to grow, having a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. And so I want you to start paying attention to your people, your surroundings, your friends, your relationships. And I want you to pay attention the things that come out of their mouth. Okay. So what are they speaking of? Who are they speaking of? And how are they speaking? Why are they speaking? Right. So pay attention to what's coming out of people's mouths, because that's going to reveal their character. That's going to reveal, you know, what's in here, what's in their heart. You know, something's going on. Like, we talk about this all the time. God has blessed us with discernment, and we know, like, we don't need to know. Nobody needs to give details of anything, because
But we read between the lines.
Because when people say things, we're like, oh, yep, this is what's happening.
Context
Yep,
clues, and then the body language too.
Yes.
Speaks volumes.
So I want you to do that. And if people are not speaking life into you, and people are not speaking encouraging and positive words and uplifting words,
then they're sucking life out of you.
then you're sucking. Yeah, that's right.
If they're not speaking life, they're sucking life.
Are you like Halloween mode? Little vampire? I was kidding.
Oh yeah, but I was thinking as you were describing it, in my head, I'm picturing, because I'm talking about a fruit tree. Again, where is that tree planted? What is he planting? What is he rooted in? So if you want to be a tree that produces good fruit, where are you? Are you by the still waters, as the Psalm says? You know, in Psalms 23, by the still waters. You know, are you planted by those? You know, by the creek and being fed the living water, or are you planted in some desert where there's nothing and it's all dry around you, or are you planted in some rocky edge with stones, a bunch of hard-headeds around you, right? So where are you planted? Where are you rooted in? Because that's going to determine what kind of fruit you produce as well.
Absolutely.
What kind of soil you're in.
So how do you do a heart check? Well, I kind of gave you a challenge, right? I challenge you to start paying attention, being aware, recognize, who am I hanging around with, right? But how do you do a heart check? So there's two things: introspection. Okay. So introspection and reflection. So introspection is the examination or observation of one's own mental and emotional process. So you really need to look inward.
Internally.
Okay. So you're going to know
That's good.
how you're feeling. Your heart, right? Your heart exudes the emotion. Right? It does. So if you're angry, you're going to feel it. If you're sad, you're going to feel it. And you're going to feel it here. right? And it expands to your body depending.
That's what they
your
say.
situation.
Like when a breakup, oh, my heart hurts and my heart's broken, because that's where you feel it.
Exactly. So, so that's what I mean is there needs to be introspection, right? You need to look inward to okay, how are you processing your emotional well-being, your mental well-being?
Right.
And, everyone's going to experience different emotions, different, depending on the situation or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's
jealousy,
jealousy, envy, and it's normal. The thing is what you do with it. So you need to recognize. We always talk about that. Acknowledge. Okay, you know what? And okay, nope, this is not. Nope, I'm not going to believe that lie, right? And that's how you can. So introspection, right? Examine and observe your own mental and emotional process. So you got to look inward. And the second one is reflect on it. Serious thought or consideration. Reflection can help you really assess, well, why am I feeling this way? What's causing it? How can I change, right? This feeling. I'm not, and if it's a bitter feeling, an ugly feeling, you know what? I'm going to, like you said, make it a good day or not. I mean, hey, if I wore 2 different chanclas, I mean, I have a choice.
Yeah.
We all have a choice. It's what you do. It's what you do that's going to be the difference maker, right? So let me just share real quick. Think before you speak, right?
I have one more scripture too to share.
Okay, perfect. So think before you speak. Acronym, the T. First, ask yourself before anything comes out of your mouth, okay? Because the mouth is, you could either speak life into someone or you can speak death into someone, let me tell you. So think before you speak. The T stands for, is it true? Okay. And I'm not saying, is it true? Meaning, oh, I think it's true. Is it true? Is it factual? Or is it how you're feeling? Is it your perception? Is it your perspective? No. You need to really identify, is this true? Is it true? Yes or no? Right? So is it true for the T on think? The second thing is it helpful? If what you're saying, like the Pharisees, was it helpful them trying to call out Jesus to say, hey, why didn't your disciples wash their hands? Was that going to help anybody? No. Like if we go out to eat to a restaurant and I see somebody, I don't know, maybe they were playing with the dirt and then came in to eat and they didn't wash their hands. I'm sorry, but I'm minding my business. That's on them. I'm not going to go, hey, sir, why didn't you wash your hands before you ate? Like, is that going to be helpful? Maybe if I was a doctor or maybe if I knew there was some sort of bacteria in the dirt, I would say, hey, just to let you know, sir, in that section right there, there's a bacteria called XYZ. You might want to wash your hands before you eat. I'm just using that as an example, right? Is it helpful? If it's not helpful, mira, calladita te ves más bonita. Have you heard that?
Let's translate.
Okay, translate it.
The good looking ones stay quiet.
I said calladita te ves más bonita, meaning like,
the quieter you are, the better looking you look.
Yes, exactly. The I stands for, is it inspiring? Is it going to inspire someone? Is it going to encourage someone? Is it going to uplift someone? And if it's not, then just keep it to yourself, right? If you don't have nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all.
Help or hurt?
Exactly.
Is it going to help?
The N is it necessary? Is it necessary? Kind of goes back to like, okay, is it necessary? Meaning I need to share this.
Well, if he's going to go into the restaurant, maybe it is necessary because there's other people that are going to come up behind him and he can dirty the table. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Is it necessary? Yeah. So it's something depending on your situation, right. You got to think it. And then the K is it kind? Is it kind?
Yeah,
right? Is it kind?
Then.
Because there's some people like, I'm just thinking about, and I know that people call them Karens or like they're just exuding all this hate. All this, yes, all this hate and
I'm sorry if those are your names, Karen or Debbie.
Yeah, but they're just exuding all this hate and evil, and they're
or the bitter Bettys.
Yeah, or they're being bitter, or they're treating people like badly for no reason.
Yeah.
And we're better than that. We should be above that.
Heart check. But
yep, you got to have a heart check.
In the scriptures that I shared, the Matthew 12:33, a word that was used that stood out to me was good treasure, evil treasure. Right? And that was in verse 35. Jesus was saying a person brings out of his good treasure good things, and an evil person brings out of his evil treasure evil things. So what other scripture ties into that? And man, it's staying in Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 through 21. It says, do not store up yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is,
your heart
there your heart will also be.
Yes.
So what and again, it kind of ties into that point of, you know, I described a tree, where you root it, where you plant it at. You talk about the acronym. You know, are you building up good treasure that you can follow this little acronym to kind of say, hey, man, I got my treasures here on earth, here, building them up in heaven, not here on earth. So that's where my heart's at. So if your heart is in the right place, then maybe you approach that gentleman kindly, with professionalism, courtesy, and sir, if you don't mind, could you just please wash your hands before you come into the restaurant, before you sit down and eat, whatever. There is a way to approach it,
absolutely.
Right? But and if he refuses, well, hey, I did my part. That's it. I go sit down. I don't need to make it a fight. I don't need to make it a battle. I don't need to even kick him out of the restaurant. I just simply say, okay, sir, thank you, and go about your business, and that's it, right? But again, those treasures, you got to build up good treasure, because going back to Matthew 12, Jesus said it himself. Good treasure brings out good things. Evil treasure brings out evil things. Yeah. And the fruit tree is known by its fruit. Yeah. We want to produce good fruit and be good stewards.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the question for today's episode is, where's your heart? Where's your heart? Right? Where is your heart? And if you haven't done a heart check, hey, you
need a defibrillator to get you back into shock and rhythm.
Get in the word.
Defibrillator does. That's right. Jesus Christ is your defibrillator, and he gets you back into rhythm.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed. You make sure you share, you subscribe, you like. Thank you so much for tuning in to Faith Connections, where we connect you to your
faith.